class of 2020 is graduating during a unique time in our history due to the coronavirus. But companies are hiring so new grads can get a little creative as they prepare to enter the workforce. Here with advice is Meghan Rothschild, president of Chick Media and a professor at Springfield College. Welcome, Meghan.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
My pleasure. Now, your first suggestion for grads is to spruce up that ever-important document, the resume. Any tips on how to make it more marketable for them?
Yeah, so now is the time, right? So we're all a captive audience. We're sitting around and we don't have much to do. So take a look at that resume. Make sure that you have a really strong header. Make sure that all of your professional experience is on there. If your GPA is worth throwing on there, go for it. If not, you can omit that and just put if you got a bachelor's degree in business or whatever your major was. But basically, just make sure it's all cleaned up and always have a second set of eyes. Take a look at it just in case there's any grammatical errors that you might not catch.
Very good advice. Now, your next tip is to identify your USPs. Can you explain to me what that means?
Yeah, so USP stands for Unique Sales Proposition. So this is a phrase that a lot of companies use to identify their product or services as to why they are unique and why people should purchase those instead, purchase through them instead of purchasing through their competitor. With people, you can have USPs about what makes you unique. Why should someone hire you as opposed to hiring the next person in line who comes in for that job interview? So take some time right now to figure out what your strengths are, what you strive to be an expert in, or what you might already be an expert in, and why someone should hire you instead of somebody else.
And so when developing these, I imagine you think about, in addition to your education, but your skills, your talents, and your experience.
Yeah, absolutely. You want to think, and you also want to think about what your goals are. So if you want to be really strong in public speaking, but you're not there yet, that's a good thing to incorporate into your USPs. So it's a goal to set for yourself. So figure out, what you want the next 2, 5, 10 years to look like, and figure out how you can work towards that goal.
Meghan, your next tip is about getting your letters of recommendation in order and also getting endorsements on LinkedIn. Can you tell me why that's important?
Yeah, so right now, LinkedIn has become the online digital resume, right? So some jobs even allow you to apply just by submitting your LinkedIn profile. So it's really important to make sure that that's completely filled out. Make sure that you are requesting endorsements by people that you've worked with professionally, even if it's a professor, if you're a college grad and it's, some other peers that you've worked with projects on. Just make sure that the profile looks really complete. Make sure you have a good profile picture, not one of you, with your dog or something silly. It should be professional. And you really want that profile to speak to, again, what your professional goals are.
Yes, speaking of online, according to the Harvard Business Review, more than 75% of employers actively research candidates online. So what do graduates need to consider about their digital footprint?
Yeah, that's a great point. So we want to make sure that any social media platform that we're currently on, you've done a little cleanup, and now's a really good time to do so. So I'm not in any way suggesting that we have to hide our personalities. It's okay to have fun on social media. That's really the point of it. But if you have anything on your Instagram feed or your Facebook that might be misconstrued as offensive or inappropriate, probably want to take that down, even if your profile is private. So even if you don't have an actual public profile, there's still ways that employers can sometimes get into those accounts. So you just want to make sure that everything on your social media platforms is really reflective of the type of professional online persona that you want people seeing.
And your final tip for new graduates is networking.
Yes, absolutely. So even though you're just getting out of college and you haven't had a professional job yet, necessarily, maybe some of you have, but you want to start calling on those networks to see if there's a way to establish relationships with people who might work for a company or an organization that you're considering applying to. So the best way, I think, to start is to call your college or university's alumni relations department and see if they have any network or database of other graduates who they can put you in touch with. So if you really want to work at the American Cancer Society and Joe Smith, who graduated back in 2002, works for the American Cancer Society, see if your college will put you in touch with that person so you can have a networking discussion. Because really knowing someone within the organization is a much better way to get a job as opposed to just blindly applying.
It certainly is. Meghan Rothschild from Chick Media. Thanks so much for joining me with these excellent tips.
Yeah, thank you for having me.